All right, here comes the show. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
Flashback. Now available on Super Nintendo.
Literally the only commercial I could find.
Did you record that in your living room?
Nope, that's all I could find anywhere. That's all they had.
Nice.
Greetings and hello and welcome to another episode of Play Retro. This is one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and I hear crickets and I see weird robots, and you know what else I see? A lot of green zone in these first few hours. I will enjoy that until things get all industrial. Look, I got up at 4 a.m. to get this game at a software, etc. It best be worth it.
Oh, before there was Best Buy, there was Best Be Worth It. And I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, and I am ready to stand, prepare, and jump right into the best 80s era sci-fi tropes like some kind of Prince of Persia on an alien planet in the future who's forgot who he was and finds himself right in the middle of a Blade Runner, Running Man, Total Recall, Wizard of Oz salad. Now, just take my credits and let me go home already to planet Earth. Fine, past the awesome sauce. I'm about to go back for seconds. Yes.
That's a good one. I liked it. Yeah,
Awesome.
You might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, what the hell are they talking about? Well, I got good news for you. We're talking about the venerable video game from the 16-bit era called Flashback, The Quest for Identity. I believe it launched first on Genesis, then on SNES, and then eventually ports kind of showed up everywhere, including Dreamcast got a version of this game, I believe.
It's interesting the way that you broke that down. It actually released first on the Amiga, and most people think that was the one that everything was built off of. It was actually made for the Mega Drive first, and then all ports were sent there. The reason why it wasn't released on the Mega Drive first, well, there was a cart size issue, and we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah, we'll get into that. That is coming up shortly. Before we do that, let's talk about our week in retro. I'm about to start up a new show. Not a new show. I'm about to start up an old show that I ran for 16 years, which, by the way, by my math, is only 4 years shy of retro, right?
That's almost retro. 16 years. Holy Moses.
Yeah, that was the show called The Instance, and it's about a 20-year-old game or a near 20-year-old game. This November, it will enter into the Welcome to Retro, that being World of Warcraft.
Nice.
And I'm starting it up again as a monthly podcast. It will coincide with the launch of the brand new expansion, The War Within. That happens in about a week and a half. Not the expansion, but the show. We'll let you know exact times. It's had to move around for some things I can't talk about yet, but don't worry. It'll be out before the expansion hits. And I'm excited about it. So get all subbed up. You may not have the right feeds if you have the old feed. If you're still holding on to that old feed for grim death, it may not work for you. So go to the website, frogpants.com/instance, and grab it because it's up there and available. Secondly, you know that big arcade cabinet, sit-down cabinet my dad built back in the 80s? Remember that?
Yeah. Do I love it? Yes.
It's finally coming downstairs so I can work on it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's finally going to see the light of day. It's going to get some of that old smell out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's got some
get
smell.
Some of that new smell.
It's got a very dusty, old power transformer kind of smell.
Yes, I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait.
I went to the local arcade recently, and the guy there, the owner, Steven, he opened up one of the oldest ones to let me take a peek inside the pinball machine, and it smelled like old. I loved it.
I'm sorry about the old, but also if you loved it, then I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you smelled it.
So I can't wait for Scott's office or wherever you're going to put it at to smell like the old.
Yeah, it'll be here in the studio. Where I will put it, ultimately, I don't know, but I've got a space kind of carved out in the center here where I'm going to tear it apart, get all the guts out of it safely, because there's still some, like I'm told the transformer in there will still give you a good jolt if you're not careful.
Probably murder you dead right there on the floor.
It could. But the way he made these, they're very modular. Like the whole thing comes down like a giant ramp for one of those airplane military jets that carry like tanks and stuff. It's like that. It goes bam, and so you can get in there. The main board's on that thing. The guts and the CRT and stuff are all in there. So I'll take all of that out, toss most of it, keep some as like weird, like a chip, like a little trinkety chip I can put somewhere and just say, the original version of Galaga is on here or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I think I'm gonna gut it entirely, do new control board, and put in some kind of Raspberry Pi deal and load that thing up with a bunch of emulation.
Oh, I think I don't know. We gotta talk, Johnson.
You don't like that
need to go
idea?
I think we're gonna go with a JAMA board, maybe some FPGA stuff. I think we need to. I mean, because you could just go get a a 1-up machine or something. Let's do it right. I'll walk along with you, and if we need to buy parts, we'll source some stuff.
Okay,
we'll get something cool.
You know
going.
what? You know what? I will tap you for this because you're gonna have some better ideas than me in terms of how to build it out. And I don't want to just half-ass it. I mean, the main reason I'm keeping it is because my dad built it. There were no others like it. It's this piece of nostalgia I have for when he owned these arcades and stuff.
Yes.
And I never want to get rid of it, but I also don't want to just have it sit there being dusty and unusable. It would be cool if I could say, all right, get in here and play a couple of games of Donkey Kong, you weirdos, So
I would love that.
Yeah. So we're going to get that going. Yeah. Tezzeret Dynamite in the chat. No, it is not a giveaway. I'm keeping this thing for myself. Thanks so much.
Yes. It's the connection to his dad.
Yeah. So this is a very specific connection to my dad. So I'm not giving that away.
I think with the FPGA, you're going to be the best off because you're going to get the most authentic experience. And since FPGA has the ability to basically programmatically convert itself to different hardware configurations, I think you're going to have a better experience there. But we'll talk more about that as we move along. I'm looking forward to this project. Oh my God, I might have to fly out or something so I can get some hands on.
Well, we'd never turn you down there when we'd feed you all the Southern food that you already know about. You already eat down there.
I don't want to eat Southern foods. I want to eat what the Utahns eat. What do you guys eat? Dirt?
You want some Jell-O salad with some carrot strips in it?
Oh my God! Yeah, fix me something Southern.
How about funeral potatoes? Those are good.
Funeral potato? I don't even know what that is, but that is amazing.
They're so good. You take them to funerals.
Is that something? Is that something you make when the funeral and somebody dies? Yeah, it's like everybody brings over funeral potatoes for starches and stuff.
Think of it as it's like a casserole, but it's all potato stuff and it's all creamy and it's so good, dude.
Oh, good. That sounds great.
It's bad for you, but
is it like a shepherd's pie almost?
No, not really. More. No? I mean, it's more adjacent to a. Boy, what would you compare it to? I don't even know.
Is it more lumpy or more creamy?
Kind of equal lump and cream.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I'll send at the end of the show today or sometime. I'll send you a recipe for proper funeral potatoes. And you might
and I can make them anytime. And I don't have to wait for somebody to die, right? I can
No, you need them now.
Okay.
Yeah, no death. Just eat them. They just call them that. They probably have another name somewhere, but that's what we call them here. Anyway, Brian, what'd you get up to this week? Anything cool going on?
Absolutely. I am continuing my quest on the Nintendo World Champion. And guess what? World Champion, I am not. Here's some of my rankings this past week. I didn't get in until week 2. Each week they have these challenges that you can join in on the World Wide Web on Nintendo Online and compete against everybody else. And I got my results in for week 2, which was my first week. And I have started on week 3, but I'm not doing so great. But Mush Zoom 2, which I suppose was like the second week to do this, is where you're trying to really run along really fast and collect the first mushroom. And out of the 51,847 people, I placed 46,906.
Wow.
So
you're kicking ass, dude. Look at you tearing it up, teaching these Nintendo files what's real, I'm
in the top 91%. In other words, not good.
Wow.
I'm in the bottom 9% of the total. However, I do like how they rank these things too. So in addition to getting that, they also give you your birth year. So I was born in 1972, and out of the people born in 1972, I'm at 533 out of 615, which puts me in the 87th percentile. So
come on, Gen X,
better amongst the people.
More Gen X. We need more Gen X representation in that damn thing.
We really do. Really need to get more Gen X in here. But there's other ones too. But that was just my Mush Zoom 2 version, and I didn't do much better in the rest of them. But I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm having so much fun. And did I send you the link? Oh, let me see. Okay, it's actually right there in the show notes next to my little notification. I put a link to the thing that I'm trying not to get because I got back into my Switch playing this game, and I'm like, oh, my Switch is, it's that first gen kind of, basic screen. It's got scratches all over it. The sticks are not drifting anymore because I fixed those, but they're not exactly pristine. But I was thinking maybe I will just go ahead and get the OLED version. Maybe I'll just go ahead and get a nice new OLED white version, and I saw that they'd had a Pokemon edition Switch OLED.
Yeah. You really want
And,
all that Pokemon crap on the back? You want that? Is that what you want?
God, it looks so freaking sexy.
It does look pretty good.
I want it so bad.
Yeah.
Now they're sold out everywhere officially, but like there's still overstock in places, and there's refurbs. I don't want to refurb, but there's overstock in a couple of places, and I'm pretty excited. $339 for their OLED. It's got all the nice scarlet and violet Japanese Pokemon, so it looks good. It's the purple and the red. Well, it's the two colors I just said. It's scarlet and violet, but
is it
it's purple and red?
But is it region free, or what do you have to deal with there? Anything weird?
I'm assuming it's region free, and if it's not, I'll just call it my Pokemon machine, and I'll just order that particular one, and I'll just it says region free right there.
Oh, okay,
it says
good.
Japanese stock edition region
I can
free.
never remember what Nintendo's doing now with regions. You never know what they're up to, those buttholes.
Right. But man, it just looks so freaking good and sexy. But like, do I really need a new one? No.
Dude, they're about to do a brand new console. I wouldn't.
I don't know, man. It just feels like it's gonna be forever.
It'll be. I promise you, they will announce it before the end of this year, and I think next holiday season you're buying one. It's gonna be.
Oh my gosh, but that's gonna be like I could have this Pokemon for almost a year and a half before the next one comes out. So I mean,
that is one way of looking at it.
I don't know. Just talk me out of it. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to have you talk me out of buying retro stuff. Oh crap!
Hey Brian, don't buy the Pokemon Edition Switch OLED.
Yeah,
don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll show it to you next week when I get it.
Yeah. Well, if you did get it, it's not like I would be sad. I'm kind of curious how those perform, because I haven't actually seen that OLED screen. Never used one. So
I see. I've messed around with one, and it was definitely brighter and crisper. And I'm like, but when I'm playing some of these games, 20 minutes in, am I going to really notice that it's brighter and crisper, or is it just that initial like, holy, oh, look at this, is so crisp and clear?
The hard part for me is knowing the guts of it are still, this old Tenzin freaking, or whatever the model is of that old freaking ARM chip from 2017. You know what I mean? It's like we need an update. I'm not saying I need Nintendo to suddenly switch gears and become power chasing anymore. I don't need that.
Right.
I just need to know what the hell the next thing is so I don't go spend money. Because I'm just as tempted as you. My OLED for my Steam Deck, I love it. It's beautiful. I would like to see that on my Nintendo World stuff. But I can't. I just can't. I got to wait. I'm waiting.
I know what? I've never been tempted to get the Steam Deck OLED for some reason. I think it's probably because we've had a lot of discussion in our Discord server, by the way, frogpants.com/Discord. This past week, I've had some people discussing and asking, especially, should I get a Steam Deck? Is it just overkill for retro gaming? No, it's not as perfect, because you can play, like we talk about the Ambernick stuff all the time, but this, it'll go up pretty high. It'll do flawless PSP stuff. You'll even do some Xbox and some, not perfectly, but PS3 stuff as well.
Does Switch
really
games
retro?
Does Switch games as well, and also not retro. You're right. But
I didn't care for this. I didn't care for the Switch experience on the Steam Deck. I wasn't particularly impressed, mainly because I just kept seeing all the stuttering. I had another friend who really went heavy into it, was playing all the same games that I was playing, but on there, and I was just like, oh, how can you do that? That's it's
jittery.
Stuttering on that game, right?
Yeah, I don't like some of that, but I also don't like how the Switch itself is rough, locked at 30 for so many games. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't even care if the next one is that much of a graphical powerhouse. I just want better frame rates. That would be nice.
Oh yeah. I think that's top on their list.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. You never know with Nintendo. Their list is weird. They have a weird list.
Oh, I meant to save that, and I saw a really cool article, and it was somebody had basically prototyped. They didn't physically do it, but they built it out in a virtual environment. They prototyped what the Game Boy could have been if it was modular and made today. And I was like, holy crap, man, that's what I want the next Switch to be.
Where is it? I want to see this. Do you have this?
I gotta find it again. Let's keep moving on, and let's see if I can find it.
While Brian looks for that, we're gonna play this.
Shall we play a game?
The game we're going to play today is called Flashback: The Quest for Identity. Yes, that's right. It's an old game. Came out in 1992, at least here in the States it did. Flashback, Quest for Identities, developed by Delphine Software, released in 92, is a cinematic platformer known for its groundbreaking rotoscoped animation, engaging story, and players control Conrad B. Hart. Conrad.
Conrad.
He's an amnesiac scientist who uncovers an alien plot while trying to recover his lost memories. Hence the quest for his identity, I suppose.
As his identity, just like that time Arnold Schwarzenegger, had to go to Mars to figure out who the hell he was. Remember
Right?
that?
Yeah. No, he didn't know. In fact, it really is kind of pulled from those same headlines. I guess you could put it that way.
Total Recalled.
This game I bought on the Genesis I got up at 4 a.m. to get it and went to a software, etc. My wife and I, we were barely married. I think we were married in 92. So we were it may have been pre-marriage. I can't remember.
Oh my gosh. But the point is it was asking a lot.
It was asking a lot to get up at 4 and be in line so I could get whatever. I think they didn't open the doors till 7. And I don't know why Flashback was so in demand, but there was a line of like 60 people at this thing. Yeah. And it was weird. I was used to that for console launches, but for a game launch, especially one that wasn't like some mainline thing, it was a new kind of third party thing. I just was surprised. But sure enough, they got my copy, took it home, played it on the Genesis forever. And for the longest time, I believed this to be one of the greatest games ever made. It sounded a bit like this, by the way. Oh, listen to that. It goes right to your brown noise.
You just got nostalgic.
I got nostalgic pretty hard just now. Anyway, the game is up to that point. I think we had Out of This World was the other game that used the rotoscoping quite precipitously.
Right. The same people, that was Delphine Software. They were using rotoscoping. It was Out of This World in the US, or Another World for our European or worldly listeners.
That's right.
So I mean, this was the next step after a game we had talked about here on the show, Prince of Persia. This was kind of like, but what if it was sci-fi? Mm-hmm. Not the same people, but certainly inspired by.
Yeah, for sure. And it also, we talked about the Abe's Odyssey games on here before. There's a lot of that stuff going on here, and not the
that
one
was inspired.
Yeah,
by this game.
Yeah, this game had a lot to do with that game coming out. But it's this whole static screen, move one screen to the other, solve a bunch of puzzles, kill a couple of robots, figure out where the key is, go to the next one. Prince of Persia style jumps and hangs and drops. Clearly inspired by Prince of Persia because the guy moves just like him. And it had a roll move that I really was into. And I also felt like he was wearing either scrubs or pajamas, and I appreciated that back in the day.
First of all, if you read the Marvel comic that was like the 9-page Marvel comic that came with the Sega Genesis version of this, that was at the start of the manual, we learned that he is a Galaxian Bureau of Investigation agent, I guess, traveling the world in comfortable loafers and blue jeans and maybe a leather jacket and white shirt. That was the standard uniform, I guess.
Yep.
And so he's on this alien world trying to do some investigating of these aliens, the morphs, because they have the ability to morph, apparently.
Yeah, they could morph. They were morphing. They were. They may as well have called them morphs. That may as well have been it.
Right. They might as well call them. We are the morphs.
We are morphs.
But really, what it was is kind of feels like Pitfall to me. It feels like we've taken Pitfall Harry, because he's in a jungle. This world is more jungle-esque that he's in. By the way, he's escaped from the morphs. The morphs captured him, and he's escaped. Mm-hmm. He's lost his memory, and he's trying to uncover what's going on. But what you're really doing is solving environmental puzzles and shooting little aliens and trying to fall down in areas, to land in areas in a way that you can actually confront the enemy, because a lots of times the way these levels are laid out, you fall in a bad place, and it's just like, crap.
Oh, it's kind of sort of miserable, really. What can
difficult
happen? Yeah, difficult stuff. I'll say this for it: it is one of the most engaging games I ever played. To this day, I just could sit there, I'd do it now if I could. Just sit there and
Yeah.
let it wash over me. But it was a very quiet game. Here's some gameplay. No soundtrack really. Check this out. A lot of little robots, birds, some kind of alien business going on. Here's a robot, computer. How about this bit? I mean, that's one thing I actually appreciated about it. It wasn't bombarding me with a soundtrack. It was like making me go, ooh, what? Whoa, it's like very alien and strange. And I don't even know if the future versions and ports added music or not. They may have. I never played them. So but I think I prefer it without it. I kind of like it quiet.
So yeah, so that's kind of probably typical of. So if you play Prince of these are all cinematic platformers, and so we had played Karateka, and then we had played Prince of Persia, and then we get to this, and so they all kind of share this similar DNA of being very, the characters move rotoscoped, so they move, kind of very fluid, even though they're very simple pixelated characters. And the music is sparse, and it kind of adds to what's going on. And even though this cart was released as and marketed as it's a CD game on a cartridge, and the reason why they said that is because Delphine had to work with Sega to develop. Delphine developed a 24 megabyte cart, which is pretty large. So this has a lot of graphics in it. It's got a lot of little cut scenes, and it's got a lot of stuff. But what it did not have room for was all the great music that would be applied later on into the multimedia stuff like the Win95 and the Sega CD. And those have like a running soundtrack. And that's kind of like almost a different experience. So it's kind of a reward when you if you did have this on the Genesis originally, and then you move on to something else. Now the Amiga version, which actually was the first out the gate, that's more of a computer instead of a console. Right. And it had more music and stuff as well. As a matter of fact, if you play this now, some of the ways you can play it is to grab the Amiga files out of there, the sound files, and play it in some of these recreated engines for Flashback.
Oh,
so yeah,
interesting.
It's interesting that you like the sparseness of it, and in some ways, I started playing the Amiga version because I thought that was the first one released before I started doing my research, and so when I went back and played the Genesis version, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, oh no, where's my music at?
It's definitely quiet, and that's what I like. But I get it. Like whatever you're exposed to first is probably what you'd prefer. Here's the Dreamcast version. It'll give you a little better idea of kind of what they did. Here we go. It's not playing. Why? Oh no, this one has no music either.
Yeah, most of the cart ones didn't. So like, I don't think the SNES version had any music or very little music.
Why didn't the Dreamcast have it though? That's weird, isn't it?
That Dreamcast version's a weird one. I didn't dig too deep into that one, but I think the Dreamcast version was supposed to be was that the Sega CD port maybe? A lot of them were based off of the Windows 95 version. If I'm
okay, that right there is your Amiga version. No music there either.
Now in the Amiga version is not throughout. It's only like in when you enter new areas. When things have shifted, when you go from the jungle to the I guess the city area.
Yeah.
And so you'll start getting some music there, and you definitely get music whenever you're doing the cutscenes, which by the way are amazing in their own rights.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Right? They're awesome. I love that opening scene. It reminds me of some stuff I've seen in Akira. And so this thing it's just got a million references to sci-fi movies, TV shows from everything prior to this, like a lot of stuff from the 70s and 80s, like the final scenes and stuff. Spoiler, there's there's a bit of alien type of setup. Blade Runner is running through this a lot. Replicants, we got Running Man, but according to the French developer director, he says he was not inspired by that one specifically, but we all recognize it as that Paul Cousset, I believe his name. He was the director.
Okay.
Yeah, Cousset.
Why does that
And
sound?
I think
something familiar about
yeah.
that name. Can't put my finger on it.
He's gone on to do some things. He's done a good bit. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to talk about his career, and we're eventually going to have to talk about Delphine Software and US Gold. Those are all people that we need to discuss. They all have some very interesting stories. As a matter of fact, Flashback: The Quest for Identity was some people incorrectly think that is a sequel to the Out of This World, Another World series. It's not. It's a different.
So
It shares a lot of DNA, but it's not the same.
But Fade
not
to
the same
Black is
world,
definitely a direct sequel to this, which we'll talk
Oh,
about
yes.
later. But yeah,
Yes, Fade to Black is. Shaq Fu is not.
Shaq Fu is not one. It's not. Oh damn!
There's actually, there's actually a weird thing that happened on the way to Fade to Black. That Flashback the Flashback 2 essentially got derailed along the way because Delphine had to do a Shaq Fu game.
Did they really?
True
It was.
story.
I didn't know it was Delphine that did that. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
So
very, very funny to me. I had no idea.
Yeah. Like I said, they've got a wild history. I learned just enough this week to know that I was like, oh yeah, we're sticking a pin in this and coming back to Delphine as a publisher and how they ended. It's an interesting story.
Well, I mean, what
interesting.
happened to those guys? They're out, right? We're done with them.
Yeah, they just slowly petered out by some poor decisions that led to poor profits that led to a buyout by previous members of the Delphine group, and then that failed, and so it's an interesting story. We need to hit that one hard.
Yeah,
it's gonna be it's a fun ride.
I'm actually very curious about that. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get back to the thing here. The game was hugely popular. Obviously, did really well.
Yes,
I think people were super impressed, so they ported it everywhere, and everybody played it, and it felt like okay, bona fide hit. I just want to talk sadly real quick about something that happened last year.
Okay.
We finally got word that they were going to revive the series and make a Flashback 2.
Yes.
Forgetting, I guess, about Fade to Black, but anyway.
Right.
Maybe
and actually the Flashback 2 they actually started working on before Shaq Fu, but yes.
So I feel like they should have focused on that. I mean, Shaq Fu was interesting, but it wasn't
right.
It wasn't Flashback.
What Flashback?
Should have called it Shack Back and just had Shaq in Flashback.
Shack Back.
Yeah, or Flash Shack. Either one. But anyways, so that game doesn't happen too. I mean, back then we finally get word last year that it was coming. I remember seeing this at one of the game events. I don't remember, early in the year. And I went, oh, I'm going to be playing that when it comes out.
Yes.
And now that game's out. And that game is really, really bad. Really bad.
It looks really, really good. You can find Flashback 2 on Steam, and it is something that you don't usually see, mostly negative for the reviews. So the gameplay must be a big stinkeroo. We're not
38%, by the way, 38%. Yeah. And they did not
like a
do
2.5D or something.
Yeah, it looks fine from what I can tell, but all these reviews mainly are complaining the story's way too short. The $40 isn't worth it. It doesn't really bring back the sensibilities of the original game, and there's a ton of reviews in here about big time performance issues, which they've never addressed. So this being the legacy of this amazing title just depresses me to no end.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Yeah,
I'm so sad.
The thing that you'd have to do, in my opinion, is the most interesting part about Flashback in itself is that it is a cinematic platformer.
Yeah.
And as a result, the story has never been very important. I mean, it's really easy to remember everybody. It's Morphs. That's the bad guys.
Yep.
You got Conrad B. Hart. He's apparently got something for his good friend Ian, who's a part of it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you don't get too much further outside those kind of characters and that story and him just trying to get back home and trying to destroy the Morphs. And so you can't hang your hat on any type of world that already existed, because that was never what appealed with this game. What appealed to this game is this purposeful performance is what I usually think of when I think of these games, where it's like you can depend on the things you've learned and you can perform them consistently.
Yeah.
So whenever you have to learn how to jump to a ledge, because there's a certain combination that you have to do that, when the ledge is a certain bit away, it's not like you just double jump or something. It's more like you gotta jump, and then you gotta let go of the D-pad and have a little bit of faith, and you can hit stuff, and it always hits it. It always does it.
Yeah.
You got to have this purposeful experience, and none of these later versions, they seem to always forget that, and they want to make it faster and more action, and it's like that's not what appealed to us about Flashback.
Well, I think also we had a patience back then for things that were new in games, and we didn't really know any better. I mean, the truth of it is, it is a slow plotting game, and it's what you're signing up for, and I think it's great. Like it
Yeah.
In fact, I had to kind of remind myself I'm playing it on the SP, and the Ambernick SP, and I went, Scott, quit expecting, lightning, Sonic the Hedgehog here. Just relax and let it go. And it's okay that he has one walking stance and then a different walking stance. And if you tap more times to the right, he'll run quicker. He'll you get used to the timing of it so that you can run fast and then stop before you fall off an edge. That takes a little doing. And then once you get used to it, the tone or the pace just sort of becomes part of you, and you're cool. I really like it. It's a good vibe.
It is a very good vibe, and the fact that he's, his creativity when creativity is challenged, it becomes better. So you have to, you're constantly challenged in this game to make something happen. And when you start making the character Conrad be able to shoot in essentially any direction, and you don't have to make those decisions about where to drop down in relativeness to a bad guy, you kind of take away some of the fun when it starts moving fast and you're twitching and that stuff. That's great for other games, but that's not what made this game special.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't the story. It wasn't the rotoscoping was way cool, but I mean, you can't live on that anymore.
No.
So you're gonna have to say what's the heart here? It's the gameplay.
Man does not live on
rotoscoping
alone. Yeah, I really like it. The year, by the way, that this is set is 2142, and I just think a leather jacket and a pair of scrubs is an awesome thing to wear in that future. I love it.
I mean, we're definitely flying with we're not even flying with Han Solo here. We're flying with who's the character in Spaceballs? Who's the primary character? Who's the Han Solo character? This is who he reminds me of, because he's basically a guy flying around space with a light brown leather jacket, with the pants on and t-shirt, and he's kind of that kind of a rebel.
Yeah, now he's everyone. He's you and me. He's everyone because he dresses like we do. Everybody else is a wackadoo alien or a robot, but no, this guy's like, you know what? I just got off a 12-hour shift at the ER. I got my jacket. It's a little cold out. I got my comfortable sneakers. Everything's good.
Yeah, he's just trying to, man. He's just trying to get back home.
Yeah.
That's all he's trying to do, man. He just wants to know who he is.
Yeah.
And get back home. Is that so much to ask?
I don't think it's too much to ask at all. I think it's maybe not asking enough,
Actually, it does ask a little bit too much, because this game goes in, it is a screen-to-screen experience. But then when you finish the series of screens, you go to the next stage. And the first stage we've looked at a couple of times, which is where like the jungle scene. Eventually you get you meet up with some hillbilly on a hill for some reason. I don't know why he's sitting out there, but you have to, the credits that you've collected along the way from your pickups, you have to give him so many credits, and he gives you an anti-gravity belt. Then you jump down this hole, and the next thing you know, you're in the city and you got to ride trains. And the next thing you know, you're having to go get papers so that you can do missions and get more credits. And then once you do that, you can actually make it to the Running Man part, which is really weird, because it's like it's literally like being on a game show, right? And you got to battle your way through, and you earn more credits, and you get to the next stage, and eventually you make it back home to Earth. But then you have to go back to the Morphs' home world and blow them up, and then go to cryosleep for 50 years.
Yeah,
so that you can get a sequel.
Like this is the American dream that you've described.
This is the American dream. This is exactly what we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for.
It's about time.
Like,
now, I did play the Genesis version a good bit once I realized what was going on, but I also played about equal amounts of time. I played the Sega CD version, which is kind of a pared down version of the Windows 95. And if I'd have known that, I would have played that one first instead. But this was a learning experience all week, because in the Sega CD version, you have new cutscenes. So they're no longer like hand drawn kind of animation. It is a pre-rendered 3D.
Right.
And since it's on the Sega CD, it's all super compressed and pixelated, and it looks like crap, but it is kind of neat. But those load screens, man, those things are murder.
Oh,
waiting for
they're heinous.
Waiting for the, you got to pick up a hologram cube and take a look at that and kind of learn who you are, and that's painful.
Yeah,
it's like, oh god.
But after all of this, after playing it on various platforms, did you come away with the same feeling I did, that ultimately, and this seems to be what the designer says as well. What was his name again? It's right here.
Cousette.
Yeah,
is that right?
Cousette, is that correct? Anyway, he claims,
he's French.
Paul Cousette claims, he told Retro Gamer this in 2013. I used to do some ads for them. Anyway.
Oh,
the
nice.
best version for me is the Mega Drive version. The game was created for that platform, he says. I think I agree. Now, I know I'm biased because I waited at 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. to get it. And it was for my Genesis. And that's what we do. We get tribal about things we put money and effort into, right? We don't want the competition to lead or whatever. But this was a case where, we talked about it's a slow plotting game, but when it does need to move, the Genesis version moves fast. Like his sprint and roll is actually really good on Genesis. It's smooth as pie. The SNES version, which I also played this week, the only two versions I played were those two. That one felt a little sluggish. It's a little on the... It's pretty. The color depth is better. The sound is better. But the movement, like we've talked about a bunch of this on the show, like the Genesis is great at sprite shit, Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
it was made for sprite shit.
That's right.
And then the SNES was made for some, pretty competent gameplay, solid, but really good music, really good sound chip.
Yep.
But yeah, sprites is where it's at. That blast processing is just some words they made up. But the truth is, the Genesis was really good at blasting those sprites right on their processors.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that's how it should have been. It's how it will be for all time. Sorry.
I'm excited about, I don't think we talked about it on the show, but there was I don't know if it's still going on or not, there's a Kickstarter project for Console Wars, the board game. Oh,
yeah, the board game. We got to try that, dude.
I'm pretty excited about that.
What's that called? Hold on. It's called Console Wars, right? Console Wars?
I think it's called Console Wars board game. Kickstarter. You probably come right up.
Here it is. Console Wars, the card game, official Kickstarter trailer. Trying to find the... Here we go. Here's something for us to look at. The card game. Game was being published by media outlet Xbox Era. Let's see. It's over in Europe.
It's over in Europe. That's how perfect, because that's where this game came from too.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know much about it other than I'm in on the name alone, and I really want to know more. So we'll probably try to get our hands on this if we can somehow. I guess we can support the Kickstarter. That's what the whole thing's
about. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's the point of all that.
But if you're playing Flashback, let me tell you a couple of things.
Go.
This thing is balls hard, and I'm telling you, man, it is like when I got to this, like when I first was entering the underbelly of the city, which is how you arrive. Yeah. There's there's a section where everything is super sparse, and there's only one platform, so it's obvious there's only one way to go. Yeah. However, you have not been prepared for the leap that it requires to jump across. And I struggled with that. And I thought that the answer was, because I accidentally did it, because the gap is so large that you have to jump between these platforms, that you have to first of all, like I said, you have to stop and pace yourself a lot of times. So you gotta stop, you gotta hit the button to start running, and then and then you jump. Well, apparently you're supposed to let go of the D-pad. So, you push in the direction you want to go, and that starts the running, and then you hit the jump button. And I thought maybe I needed to double jump or something, but no, you got to let go of the D-pad. I accidentally did it I thought I was double tapping up on the D-pad, and all I really was doing was I was not touching the D-pad for half a second. So
Right.
it worked. Comes to find out, could have read that in the manual. Didn't read it, Scott. Didn't read the manual.
Yeah.
Read the comic.
Yeah.
Didn't read the rest of it. But if this is a throwback, man. This is a flashback game from 1992, and you better believe if you want to be able to accomplish all the little finaglings that you got to do with the controller, because this is a Sega Genesis controller or even the Amiga. But it came from the Mega Drive, which means it was 3-button game, D-pad, 3 buttons, start. And so that's what you had to do. You had to have those number of combinations of push your D-pad, don't push your D-pad, push a button, don't push a button, tap a button,
tap a
press
button.
a button.
Yeah. I like the
Read
way
the manual.
read the manual. That's another thing I liked about it. It had an amazing manual, you guys. Great manual. Yeah. I love that one. I think so. 4 a.m. Get up, go to the mall, wait in line, get it, go out in the car. Kim, you drive. Okay, fine. So she's driving my Honda CRX at the time. And
man, that's so 1992.
Oh, dude, I love that car.
Yeah.
Its first car, I think I paid. No, it was
Real
the first.
money?
I can't remember what the deal was. Anyway, there was something special about it, and I love that car. I was always a big CRX fan, and they were about to discontinue that car, which kind of sucks. But anyway, we got it.
Yeah.
And we're in the car. I said, "You drive." She goes, "Okay," because she's nice and supportive. And so she's over there driving, and I'm over there tearing the box open. I could not wait to get that thing open. I got the manual out, and I'm reading the whole way home. We get home.
That's right.
She goes in. She's taking care of the dog. I am out in the car reading the manual still. I didn't get up and get off my ass and go in and play the thing for probably another 38 minutes or something.
Right.
And I miss that aspect of gaming a lot. I'm not saying it can't be recreated by me just logging in somewhere and reading a thing. Or a game I got on Steam. There's a whole PDF showing a bunch of extra. I know I can do those things, but there's something about pulling out a pristine manual, all color, and even some of it's superfluous and dumb. Like, don't forget to pick up guns. They're important down there. Of course they are. You don't have to tell me this, but it didn't matter. It was this feeling of like, I have it in my hand. I'm looking at it. There's something like almost sacred about this little book, you know?
Yes. Well, there's a couple of things going on. So you are having the full experience from the developer. So the developer created something, is permanent. It's not going to have updates. They made a complete piece of work outside of your experience, right? They made this. They didn't tease you with it. They didn't do anything else. They made everything, put it in a box, and shipped it out and hoped that you would like it.
Yep.
And so then you get it, and instead of having a bunch of other people giving their opinions, giving thoughts about stuff, going to third-party people who have broken down, the best way to win, you are you're experiencing something that was made and crafted with love, and you're experiencing the experience exactly as they intended.
Yep.
Nothing else is leaking in. Right now, sure, you could get magazines with opinions and stuff, but for the most part, it's a very, compartmentalized experience. And I miss that part. I miss that part where it's like somebody made something, I get it, and I consumed it fully as was intended.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's how this was.
So
and there's something special about that. I mean, there's ways to recreate that kind of magic today, but it's not the same. I'm sorry. It just isn't.
It's not the same, because a lot of times game developers expect you to go out of your way, do something else, or they include the entire story in the game itself, right? So I mean, if they want to, it's a lot easier to point at something in a manual and go, this is important, as opposed to kind of trying to hide it or not beat you over the head with it in a game and train you along the way. So I don't know. Like I said, it feels like it's a different experience for sure.
Yeah.
It is something unique. Yeah. And I kind of miss that as well. But we can, like you said, we can recreate that situation. But it's not the same.
It's just not the same. I guess I'm just glad I have the memories of it. It was super fun to do it that way. And there's plenty of things about our current digital download world that I love. I'm not saying I want to trade it back.
So much better.
Yeah. I will say this. There's a period there from let's say about 2000 till about 2010,
Right.
where they stopped putting like you still were only buying digital copy or physical copy. You're still buying a 360 game. You're buying a Wii game. You were buying, PlayStation discs. But they quit putting good manuals in there. They either went black and white and lame and flimsy, or a single little sheet with like a little, don't forget to go outside once in a while and don't be a lazy butthole.
Here's a little flash card for you with a web address.
Yeah, I hate that.
www.
That was a time. That was a dark time. Dark time in games. Not happy.
It
with
was,
that.
and and it really. There's a bunch of things going on. First of all, Delphine was a very small company at this time in 1992. We're still talking about games that could be developed by a handful of people.
Yeah.
And so everything in there, nothing got lost, right? They knew what their vision was. They executed the vision, and they included everything with it, and it was a single package. And here you go. And they're like communicating directly with you. But a more modern experience, of course, is like you have a whole marketing team, and they have to go interview and talk to the developers. And what were you trying to do here? And what do I need to express to the end user? And it just doesn't feel. It feels corporate, right?
Yeah,
it feels more corporate.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That loses a little bit of its magic.
It's luster.
But then again,
luster.
Awful convenient.
Let's call it luster.
Luster. Let's call it mustard.
Let's go. Do you like mustard? I'm a big fan of mustard. Are you a fan?
I like mustard. Mustard apparently makes me very excited. Every time I eat it, I get like a little tingle.
Really?
In my chest. Is it? Maybe it's a heart attack. I don't know. But yeah, I like mustard.
A little mustard tingle. Okay.
Mustard tingle.
I like that mustard tingle.
This really is what it is. Is the taste buds, the sour parts and stuff. It kind of gives you that ooh. Same reason why people eat sour candy and stuff.
I'm a fan, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. Let's talk about Fade to Black for a minute. This is a weird one and sounded a bit like this.
They saw my shuttle and beamed me aboard. The cryogenic cycle that had kept me in a deep sleep was suddenly interrupted. I came to and opened my eyes, only to realize that to my horror, I was back in the clutches of my worst enemy.
All right, so now we know what he talks like. We know what his voice is.
Yeah. We got voice actors for Conrad and several others now. Woo.
Yep. Third person behind the shoulder flashback guy, but now it's jeans and for sure not scrubs. It's fine.
Right.
Same sneakers, same jacket, and they tried to kind of create a more, we're jumping into 3D now. It's a PlayStation game. You can tell because of how jittery and shitty all the textures are, and nothing wrong with that. It's fine. It's a thing of its era. Yeah. And it's fine. I remember playing this and going, oh, didn't quite do it for me.
Yeah.
I didn't play it this week, but I played it back in the day.
In 1995, this was a very early 3D game. So we were still trying to decide what kind of controls we wanted to have in 3D games, what worked well. And this was one of the very first. It was very early on. And that's not a good thing when it comes to looking back. It is very hard to control. If you're playing this now, you probably won't have a great time. But then you'll look back and you go, wow, this thing actually got some pretty good reviews. And it's because at the time, there weren't a lot of options of how to control stuff, right? And then Tomb Raider came along, and Tomb Raider is just a third-person cinematic platformer. Right. I mean, it's Prince of Persia, but in a 3D world with a new adventure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about that, but that game is basically that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all very purposeful. Movements, pixel perfect jumps, as opposed to something like Mario 64, where we started kind of cheating stuff a little bit, and we definitely in the end determined that, I think we need a little bit of a helping hand in our 3D worlds, and maybe some of this early Tomb Raider stuff doesn't hold up as well as we hoped it would.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. But it is interesting though to look back at the advent of third person and in 3D especially, and you go, they're still sort of feeding off of that Prince of Persia era. Like I don't think we give it enough credit for how influential it was.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about it because it's what we do, but I don't think I don't
Yeah.
think the industry gives enough credit to Prince of Persia, or the OG Prince of Persia.
Right. And it makes sense because you're trying to, when you get into a 3D world, you kind of need things to be more realistic. And, they were already doing that at the end of the side-scrolling 2Ds with Prince of Persia and, Flashback and those kind of things. And it's like, oh, now we finally get to do all those really cool, realistic rotoscope type of moves in 3D.
Yeah.
And man, you're still Conrad, but you don't get to roll anymore.
Nope.
You still get to shoot the morphs. They're really mad now.
Yeah.
I mean, you think they were mad the first time? Oh, you blew their planet up at the end of the first one, by the way. Spoiler.
No, the morphs are
And so-
ticked, dude. They're ticked.
Yeah, they're ticked.
Do you blame
They're
them
really
though?
ticked.
You don't blame them.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
I
And we
feel like
finally
they-
get to see them. Finally get to see them kind of really form because they like drip down like ooze
Yeah.
from the ceiling. It looks like, and then they just become these creatures, and then you have to shoot them, and you're like, okay,
Well,
they just keep coming.
in a way, they kind of stole from Metroid, maybe a little.
So that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, wait, wasn't Metroid like, because there's a lot of backtracking in the first one in '92. So I was, what year did Metroid come out? Because I'd actually started thinking about that as well.
That's a good question. NES Metroid, I don't remember the date. It was
Right.
before this. Super Metroid right around this, right? I can't remember, dude.
Let's take a look. The Metroid was, because I was trying to also remember the release year, because I was like, surely it was before. Then I was like, no, maybe not. I don't know. Actually, yeah, that's what I thought when we did the show, when we did it. 1986 was our first Metroid for the NES. So
Okay.
we could definitely say that Metroid influenced that kind of that backtracking thing. But yeah, we had a lot of that in the first one as well. Because I mean, you go all the way across the screen
Mm-hmm.
in Flashback, and then you come stage, I guess. You go all the way across, and then you come all the way back, and then you take it all the way back across again. And if you miss something, oh my God, you have to do so much backtracking. But yeah, there's some Metroid here. Too bad you can't roll here, because then they could have said we did it before Prime. Metroid
Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah, they
Roll.
could have said it.
3D.
But no, they
Yeah.
effed that up, jerks.
But they didn't do it, man.
Well, the game is okay. I'm not saying that you should avoid this one, and if you're really into PlayStation 1 emulation, this is maybe worth grabbing and, see what you think of it. I think it's too slow and choppy to be much of a good time.
I had a hard time. This would have been 95, so this would have been before the DualShock controllers. So it was all, D-pad stuff.
Yeah.
And I had trouble steering. I had trouble steering Conrad. He was just in. There's not like a look up and down mechanic. It's just like all like straight ahead.
Mhm.
So if a character is kind of like out of your vision, and they kind of try to help you a little bit, because you start getting hit, and you're like, where am I getting hit at? And a little circle comes up on the screen, and it gives you like a little arrow to shows you which direction it's coming from. So you're trying to figure all this out, right? This is
Right.
one of the first of its kind, and they did okay.
Yeah.
But I found myself frustrated a lot, because now, instead of like in the first one, you could have a shield, and you would go to a charging station, and you could charge it up, and you'd have like so many hits, like 4 hits or so. Here, you kind of got, you can almost get stun locked a little bit
Mhm.
occasionally,
Mhm.
and that's very frustrating. Of course, you get stun locked in the first one too, but
Yeah.
it just seemed a little more frustrating here, because I'm already trying to figure out how to move, and it seems like getting stun locked just died so many times. Oh, save states. Oh my God, save states for both of these games.
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh,
Terrible.
you got it. Yeah, in-game saves, not great. It's
Mhm.
okay in the first one. It's not as good in the second one, but man, if you want to play this game, doing some emulation, man, and do some scum saving, just constantly save this, save here, because you'll find yourself getting frustrated.
Full agreement. Half the
quickly.
difficulty in the first game is a terrible save system. You
Yeah.
know, half of it is you having to really focus and not die so that you don't F yourself.
Did I die? Yes, I did.
Oh, no, I
Many
died.
times.
All right. Well, there's your look at Flashback. Amazing game. A great legacy.
Oh, dude.
Worth playing now. Yes, go ahead.
you didn't want to mention Flashback's Legends prototype?
Oh yeah, the GBA almost got a game. You guys almost forgot about this. So I did forget about it.
It actually, yeah, there's a prototype out there, and I downloaded it.
Oh,
and,
it's
I played a
playable.
little bit of it.
I didn't know it was
Yeah,
playable.
yeah.
That's cool. How did it? How'd it go?
It was almost finished. It is if you liked the first Flashback, it is basically that with some new environments and some new puzzles. And instead of screen to screen, you got a little bit of scrolling instead of like the fade out and pop back up. It was okay. I see where they were going with it, and it's too bad that Delphine was kind of coming to the end of the road at this point in time, because I could see this being
I would have played. I'm looking at some video now. I would have played this. Hell yeah, I would have.
Yeah. Like I said, especially if you like the first one, they just kind of got back to their roots a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to take place chronologically after Fade to Black. But you're in even in more colorful environments, and it was neat. Like
Well,
I didn't play a whole lot with it because I knew I couldn't make it through it, because I think level 7 or 8 or something, you get to a place where you can't get any further.
Interesting.
So, but there's codes and stuff, so you can complete most of it. But you can there's unlock codes to jump to levels.
Well, you definitely got a flower level going on here. Jeez Louise.
Flower level, yes, that's some of the early jungly stuff.
Yeah, I guess that was their trademark. You start in the jungle and you move your way to where things are cool.
City.
I kind of
Some
want to
replicants.
download that. I love the GBA. I wouldn't mind checking that out.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's not
but I
bad.
don't.
It's got like flashing and stuff because it wasn't optimized, but it's not a bad experience.
It's Flashback. Is that what you're saying?
Flashing. It's got a little flashback on his flashing.
Well, nice job. Go check all those out and play them at your heart's content. It's now time for a game of our own devise.
Destroy it.
Devising.
Buys.
Devise. Okay. We are going to play Guess Our Game. This is where we take audio from an old game from a certain year and platform. We tell each other what those are and give each other 5 options to choose from. I'm going to start this week with 1995 is your year, and the Sega Genesis is your console. So we're right there, right around this era. Okay.
Okay, wait. It says platform is 1995,
Oh,
and
whoops.
the year is Sega Genesis.
Sorry, I put them in the wrong order.
Year of Sega Genesis.
There, it's fixed now. It's stupid. All right, let's find out if you can figure out this one.
Ooh, I like this music already.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is this Annie the video game?
It's definitely Annie the No, it's not that. All right, let me give you some ideas here. Is it A, Spot Goes to Hollywood, B, Venom / Spider-Man Separation Anxiety,
Oh, okay.
C, Vector Man, or D, Gargoyles? Here's some sound for you.
Interesting.
Again. Let's play a little more here for you.
I want to say that is B, Venom Spider-Man Separation Anxiety. If I was a moron. No, I think
You're a moron. All right.
is too happy for a Venom, right? I'm trying to. I've fired up Vector Man so much recently, but I haven't played. I haven't turned up the audio. I've looked at the effects, and that weird bubble man is so freaking weird looking, but I don't remember it sounding like that. Gargoyles feels like, if that's the WB game, like based on the WB property, feels like that'd be a lot darker. So I'm going to go with A, Spot Goes to Hollywood, because it feels a little more fun.
Well,
Like Spot maybe going to Hollywood.
sure. And it was a game. These were all real games, everybody. I didn't make any of them up.
Right.
Let's find out if you are correct. Is it Spot Goes to Hollywood? No, sir, it is
Oh.
not. The correct answer is Gargoyles, D.
So is it
Gargoyles.
based on the animated series,
The
or is it something else?
animated Disney series, Disney Channel series?
Interesting.
And so you're running around. I don't remember the main gargoyle's name, the big beefy
Right,
guy. But you're running around as him, and
Sam. I don't know.
I don't know what it was. Dude, Gargoyles was awesome. That cartoon rocked.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. Yeah.
Between that and the Batman animated series, those are two of the best animated, like semi-serious
Oh,
cartoons that were on that at the time. So good.
It said it. Yeah, it changed everything. That style and that serious tone. It changed everything in animation for a while.
Yeah, really good stuff. So anyway, there you have it. Never played the game, but I thought it looked interesting. Yeah. That makes me up by 1. Let's see if Brian can match it with his file. What do you want me to? Tell me what year and what platform we're looking at here.
Oh, absolutely. So the year is PS1.
Okay.
And the platform is 1998.
All right, here we go.
Or is it 14,000? What about this Ganasty Gnort character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question.
Right.
Nasty
Okay,
North.
so here's
right.
your options.
Okay, give it.
We got Banjo-Kazooie. B, Spyro the Dragon. C, Panzer Dragoon Saga. Or D, Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Okay, we're taking Banjo-Kazooie off because that was N64 exclusive.
Right.
Spyro
Good
the
job.
Dragon, it could be.
Okay.
Panzer Dragoon Saga, possibly. I think by then they were porting games from Sega to... What year was this? 898?
1998.
That one seems less likely, actually. I think it's narrowed down to Spyro or Crash Bandicoot. And I'm going to... Bandicooter Warped. All this talking makes me think Crash Bandicoot because I don't think there was a lot of voicing in Spyro. So I'm going to say Crash Bandicoot Warped, D.
All right. So the answer is B.
Oh.
Spyro the Dragoon.
Damn it. I don't remember Spyro the Dragon having a bunch of talk.
It's all at the top, but I loved it. The dialogue was so stupid. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm capturing this part.
All right, well, then we both lose today. No, wait.
No, we both win.
Or we both win. Hey, that's how we look at it. We both won. We didn't both lose. Come on now.
Yeah, we didn't. We both.
I won, and you won. We both win. And you know what, audience? You win, too, because only one of you said Choplifter today. So congratulations.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I think, let's see. Oh, we did get, the Wraith said Spyro, I think. So very good.
Oh, well done, the Wraith.
Yeah,
he wrote.
Good job.
Oh, yeah, Spyro, I think. He also put D at the beginning.
D? Oh, yeah, that's right. D. Crash Bandicoot. Okay, so we had both. Okay, maybe. I don't know.
Bit D. I mean, I think I probably in the majority of people who would have narrowed it down to those two games, but because Banjo definitely N64, and I know Panzer Dragoon came eventually, but not. I think that was originally like a Saturn exclusive for a long time, or maybe it had been. Yeah, it would have been Saturn, right?
Right.
My memory
I think
sucks.
you're right.
Because there was also
I'm gonna
there was
go
a
with
Dreamcast.
you're right,
there was a
Scott.
Dreamcast thing too, but I don't remember the deal there. I don't remember the game. Did we do those? We talked about the Panzer games, didn't we?
We did. And the only reason why I put Panzer Dragoon on there is because I thought it sounded like dragon, so I thought maybe it might create some confusion.
Panzer Dragon. Yeah. It kind of did. So congratulations. Well done.
Spyro the Dragoon.
You did it.
Welcome to the treasure room.
Let's get to some listener feedback. Oh, I forgot to welcome to Retro. Let's do that first. Whoops, that's not the one we use. Let's use this one. We have a brand new entry in the Retro world. Welcome, everybody. Doom 3 to Retro.
What?
20 years. August 3rd, 2004, this game came out. We are now 20
Too
years
soon.
plus. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? That's nuts. This is the, Doom trying a whole new thing with 3. 3 was very successful despite a lot of fans not feeling like it was consistent with the existing Doom games, and I agree with them. They would fix that in 2016. But regardless of how you felt, it was a really technically impressive game at the time, and also pretty scary. And they kind of went more Resident Evil and Dead Space than a traditional Doom. But, some people, that's a good thing. Welcome, Doom 3. It's nice,
Doom
it's
3,
nice to have you.
August 3rd, 2004.
Yeah.
You're retro.
You are retro. All right, let's get to these messages. 801-471-0462 or playretroshow@gmail.com. We'll get to us no matter how you use it, even as a voicemail line. And the first one is a text for Play Retro, listening to the Star Tropic show, talking about the Nintendo hotline. I used to call the number regularly to ask if NBA Jam was going to come out for the Super Nintendo entertainment system. Eventually, one of their agents asked me, quote, "Are you the one who always calls about NBA Jam?" unquote. I said, of course, no, and never called them again. So this was Shanafan in our chat.
Shanafan.
It's an amazing
That's a great story.
Yeah.
No, Click.
It's so good. I love it, dude. We were all annoying kids at one point or another, so don't feel bad.
Right.
I love that. All right, here's another short one. Paul asks, how come Brian always says a lots of times instead of a lot of times?
Well, lots of times that's what I say. What can I say?
It's just like a weird thing to ask. I don't even notice it when you do it, but I guess you do say a lots of times.
Yeah. I don't even notice either, Paul. Good call, though. I'll now be conscious of it forever. So a lot of times,
yeah,
I will think about it.
You'll say a
next
lots
time
of
it
times.
comes up.
A lot of times you'll say a lots of times, and it's fun.
I've never thought about it, but lots of times, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like what I say.
Yep.
Lots of times.
I think so.
Yeah.
It sounds weird if you just say a lot of times or a lot of the time.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, I do the same thing. Sometimes people say something or they're kind of like, well, that sounds weird to my ear. And that's good.
We all have quirks. I say waint and both, and I try not to, but I do. So, each to each his own.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, Reese's Pieces. Never forget. Fantastic stuff. All right, time for a quick look at what we got going on Play, or what the hell is it called? RetroGib.com.
Yeah.
That's right. RetroGIB.com has all your retro stuff that we've got going on. There's a Roller Coaster Tycoon server, Unreal Tournament 99, and 2004 servers. Mm-hmm. And the retro achievement stuff is still up there. Is anybody like firing up that list and blowing our minds?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Retro Achievements. I just got a new follow today, and I've been meaning to go back and look. But yeah, that's actually a pretty, I have a lot of people requesting retroachievements.org follows. So I follow back everybody who does it. And mine is Mission Deep over there.
Yeah.
And I got several this past week playing just about every one of the Flashback games, and the ports are available on Retro Achievements. And since I'm obviously not a Nintendo World Champion, I can at least try to work through my Retro Achievements.
I mean, obviously not,
Right. Obviously not even in the top 10% of old people.
No.
Couldn't even do that. Cripes.
Yeah, Cripes is right. So, yeah, I don't do any of the achievement stuff. I probably should, but the important part is it's up there.
Easy.
We also do watch parties for X-Men, the original series. We'll be getting back to those soon. Mm-hmm. I have core tonight, so I can't tonight, but normally that's the thing we try to squeeze in. So watch for those when those happen.
Maybe John and Bo could come in between you two. We'll just kick it off.
They could, but and also you can find all this good stuff on our Discord, frogpants.com/Discord. Did you notice they let you play games on Discord now on the mobile version? Have you noticed that?
I did. I haven't tested out. Is it any good? Have you tried it yet?
It's fine. They're real basic. Here, I'll pull it up. If I can find it. All right. So if you go to any group, you now have this little you can't really see it, but down there's a new icon next to your little gift thing. If you hit that, it's like, oh, here are all the recent games, and there's a rhythm game and something called CSM Bot, and then what's that one? Valorant Stats.
Oh, are these like the ones that you can usually do when you have like the state or the different videos and stuff? I know in some of the channels you could use to play some games.
Well, this one, these are literally graphical, like playable games that launch like a game. Gotcha. So it's not video. Okay. It's like,
I got you.
Like if you want to play poker or Chef's Showdown or Crunker Strike Fever,
who doesn't?
Virtual Fisher. There's a fishing game in here. See if I run it. Hold on. Send popular commands.
If I run it, then it hangs up everybody. And
some of these are text games, I should say.
Okay.
And then some of them are actual like graphical games, like Farm Merge Valley by Zynga, of course.
Oh.
Is just like a full blown game. You launch it right there.
Yeah.
And then you can close it. I'm going to leave it. And then whatever group you're in, and there's some multiplayer stuff and all that. It's neat. It's neat.
I like it. I'll check it out. By the way, also in the Discord server, speaking of Discord, I threw that retrododo.com article about if the Game Boy was remade in modular, this would be it.
Just in our Discord?
I mentioned that. It is in our Discord server.
Look at that.
Isn't that sexy?
I really like this. Look at this chat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
see, that's what I want Nintendo to deliver me.
They're never giving you this.
Never giving me this.
No. I love it
cool,
though.
It's like that whole modular idea. It's like a centerpiece that would like almost like the center part of the Switch, but then you can attach different things in the front plate of it. I'm assuming it was supposed to be magnetic. Maybe it's screwed in. I don't know, but it's got like a nice little, full to the edge screen.
They're never going to do it. Part of the reason they don't do it is like modular stuff is yet to take off in any form, like phones and that.
Yeah.
They keep trying, but it doesn't seem to catch on.
No.
I'm really curious about this though. This is neat.
It's a cool idea.
The edge-to-edge screen is nice. It's a little weird of a aspect ratio. Like having it be tall like that's a little odd.
Right.
But I don't think they would go that way either. Would definitely go wider, or at the very least 4x3. That looks more like sideways 4x3, 3x4. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool idea. Nice drop. Well done. Let's now talk about
retrododo.com. We like those guys.
Yeah, we like those guys a lot. They're awesome. Skies of Arcadia is up next, folks, for our next game. Ooh, that's exciting. Skies of Arcadia, 2000 year 2000 Dreamcast role-playing game developed by Other Works and published by Sega. This thing is a favorite of mine that I never played, and that sounds weird, but I had a friend who had this, and I would go to his place, and I would watch him play Skies of Arcadia. It's before I really cared about...
The original Twitch.
Yeah, the original Twitch. I couldn't push like or send him any bits or anything.
Right.
I think I threw pennies at him, like chucked pennies at him. But anyway,
You're doing great.
This is considered by many to be one of the greatest JRPGs of all time. We'll see if it is.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if it holds up.
Never played it. Had a lot of people recommend it and suggest it. So these are some of our patron supporters who have recommended this in the past, and I'm like, well, let's do it. Let's take out this Skies of Arcadia. I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I will also be the judge of that. And since these new SPs play Dreamcast stuff pretty well, I think I can run it on there. So I'm gonna try. Yeah. Might take it with me. Oh, I can't talk about that. I may play it. That's all I'm gonna say there. Anyway, Skies of Arcadia, that's next week. Patreon.com/playretro. Brian's mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. Great reasons to sign up, none not to. No commercials ever. Pre-show content every week, monthly benefits, and little extras here and there. So watch for that over at patreon.com/playretro and support us today. Brian, is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Yes, Dragoon is not the same as Dragon.
I agree with that. And also, I would like to tell people at home, go play something retro. And we'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
I was back in the clutches of my worst enemy.
Oh, jeez. You know, it was a typical...
Not the morphs.
Typical